We have had several requests to show the basics of shock linkage servicing, so today we're going to take a quick look at how to cover this often overlooked part of bike maintenance. Please keep in mind that each brand and model will be a little bit different. I am not a trained mechanic and only play one on YouTube. As you can see, we have a jack underneath the frame to take the weight off the shock. This is important to be able to remove the bolts and the linkage components, so let's go ahead and begin with removing the linkage. Now that we have the pieces removed, we're ready to begin cleaning and greasing. We'll start with the horseshoe piece first, and on this particular model there's a bushing that goes between two needle bearings. This bushing just slides out. Be careful, because if your bearing is dry or inside or dry, you'll push the rod out and the needles can actually fall out. So don't shove the bushing all the way out. I like to use a Q-tip and some solvent to clean the inside of the rubber seal. Get that nice and clean. You can use a towel to wipe off all the excess, and then apply a little bit of fresh grease. That fresh grease will help keep the needles from falling out. As you're packing the grease in, just kind of work it into the needles with your finger, and just keep working your way around, trying to get as much grease packed in there as possible. If for some reason you do happen to let some of the needles fall out, just be sure not to lose them, and you can carefully put them back using just a dab of grease to hold them in place until you get them all back in, and then just start adding fresh grease again. Do the same thing the other side, making sure get plenty of grease packed in there, and just keep working it around both directions with your finger, packing as much in there as you can. Don't worry about having excess or getting too much in there, because all the excess will be pushed out when you push the bushing back through. And last but not least, we want to wipe off any excess grease that's on the outside to avoid attracting any unnecessary dirt and sand once you put this back together. Check, make sure everything's free moving, and you're good to go. Now on to the next piece. This part is slightly different in that there's bushings on the inside held in by spacers. To remove these spacers, I use some needle nose pliers. The spacers are slightly raised so you can grab them and pull them out. Just be careful of the rubber seal so you don't damage it with your pliers. I like to use some solvent, and again, wipe these out clean. You can also use brake clean or rag, whatever you have there. Just clean all the excess grease and dirt off of them so it's nice and clean when you go to put it back together. Once you have one side removed, you can actually push the bushing from the inside through the other direction, and that will actually allow you to be able to pull off the spacer from the other side. And again, don't push the rod all the way through, so there's always part of that bushing holding those needles in falling out. Now we'll go ahead and we'll pack grease from one side at a time by pushing the bushing part way out, exposing part of the needles. Just keep moving your finger around the area, packing as much grease in there as you can. And we'll slide the rod back the other direction, and we'll pack grease on from the other side. You can pull that bushing out all the way if you want. Now with fresh grease packed in there, we're ready to put the spacers back in and repeat the same process for the other two bearings on this particular piece. And again, once you're done, just take a minute, clean up all excess grease on the outside surfaces. Any excess grease is just another place for dirt and sand to get trapped, so just wipe it all out real good, and make sure you don't have any excess grease on the outside before you start assembling your new pieces, and you should be good to go. Reassemble, and go riding.